Buonasera a tutti, welcome. My name is Louisiana, and I am Chief Fellow Danieli's intern for Groups 3 and 4. We are excited for tonight's presenters, current Fellow Dermot Bolger and current Director's guest Dave King. First, I'd like to introduce Dermot Bolger. Born in Dublin in 1959, Dermot Bolger's 14 novels include The Journey Home, Tanglewood, The Lonely Sea and Sky, and An Arc of Light. His first play, The Lament for Arthur Cleary, received the Samuel Beckett Award. Numerous other plays include an adaptation of Joyce's Ulysses, staged in 2018 by Ireland's Abby Peter. His selected poems, That Which Is Suddenly Precious, appeared in 2015. He devised the collaborative novels Finbar's Hotel and Ladies' Night at Finbar's Hotel and edited many anthologies. In 2012, he was named Commentator of the Year at the Irish Newspaper Awards. Please welcome Dermot Bolger.
Thank you indeed. I've never been able to have your watch, so my phone isn't in case Steven Spielberg phones. It's just so that I don't go on too long. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's a real honour to be reading in this magnificent building and reading with Dave, who is a wonderful poet. I look forward to it. We walked out there. I counted the steps, and I actually live 27 yards closer to the castle than Dave does. So I'm the local poet, and Dave is the international poet. Obviously, every Irish writer thinks a lot about James Joyce, and so I thought that I would reflect upon James Joyce. And Joyce said that history was a nightmare from which we are trying to awaken, and that for every generation there will be things they could not explain to their children. In the case of my generation, it's what long playing records were. I actually found a box of them in the attic some years ago, and my kids thought they were frisbees. And I said, no, long before CDs existed, there were these things called long playing records, and they were vinyl. And one day your children won't know what CDs are either. And I put one of these records on, and there was a record player. They were fascinated by how this actually worked, and I put on an album, and it was by Tom Waits, another great Irish folk hero, and it was a song called Martyr. I don't know if you know the song called Martyr, but it brought back the memory of that time in life when you have left school or college or wherever you've been, and you have your first job, your first paycheck, and you've no mortgages and responsibilities, and you're out drinking with your friends on a Saturday night or Friday night. And so I actually wrote this poem called Martyr about that, and I wanted to have Tom Waits come through the wall on the piano, but this is a protected structure, so we have to skip that bit. This is called Martyr. I found the box of old albums, blue dust off a disused needle. Tom Waits began to sing Martyr. Once again, I was 24. The pull of hash and tobacco, cheap white wine at my elbow, at the window of your bedsit, in the dust-filled August light, and needle bobbing over warped vinyl, one final time, before we stroll down to bars where friends gather, decks to be shuffled, numbers rolled, blankets bagged on some dawnlit floor. Our lives are just waiting to occur as we linger in the infinity that it takes for the voice of Tom Waits to fade. I've written quite a number of books. This is my most recent book, An Arc of Light. My publishers insist upon me reading one page from it, so I'll read the title page. An Arc of Life, Dermot Bolger. But one of the books I didn't write was a wonderful book called Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars. You got it right? Where I grew up in a suburb called Finglas, and in Finglas, boys were from Finglas and girls were from Papua New Guinea or something, because we never got to meet them. And then I worked in a welding rod factory, and it wasn't a very bastion of feminine beauty, it was more welding rods. And then I joined the library service and I became the worst library assistant in the history of Dublin County Council, being very quickly banished to the Siberian salt mines of the mobile libraries. And I was surrounded by all these beautiful young girls, and I was very, very faithful. I fell in absolutely unrequited love with each of these girls. And they were incredibly faithful as well, because they didn't fall in love with me in the turn, equally one at a time. And they all lived in these small Irish towns I'd never been to. The first girl I fell in love with was from a town called Mohill in County Leitrim. And Mohill is primarily known for the ugliness of its cement factory. But to me, it was the Venice of Connemara. Men rode gondolas up and down the main street yodeling. So I've never been to any of these towns mentioned. But as the European Union very kindly gave Ireland loads of money to build proper roads. And as I drive down these roads and I see these road signs, they each conjure the name of and the face of a girl from the 1980s. And they used to all go home for Christmas with big bags of washing for their mothers on little small buses from Parnell Square in Dublin. So this poem is called Going Home for Christmas, in memories of all the girls that didn't fall in love with me. Going Home for Christmas. Mohill and Abbeyfield, Kinvara and Rathvilly were the hometowns of girls for whom my feelings went silently unrequited in the branch libraries. I'd requisitioned road atlases shelled at 912.415 and traced their weekly homecoming by private bus to Louisburg and Ferns, remote realms of Offaly. Each girl's place name in turn so captivated me that now, passing road signs for them in December, I cannot see narrow streets of small shop windows advertising local bands and Christmas club specials. It's the effervescent features of young girls I see, with strands of tumbleweed hair illuminating the roadway, sweeping back, twisting around corners to light up damp alleyways and bustling main streets where buses from the past stop for them to alight, into the arms of loved ones and lovers at Christmas in Mohill and Abbeyfield, Kinvara and Rathvilly, ghosts from the 1980s in their first flame of beauty. This is a slightly different poem. I was walking in a part of Dublin that has terrible drug problems, and I was asked to meet a group of grandmothers, mainly grandmothers, who were raising a second generation of children because the generation in between, their own daughters, had succumbed to heroin and weren't there, and so they were raising families again at quite an old age. And they asked me to write a poem for the room where they met every week. And it was a very difficult assignment. This is about really where poems come from, in that I didn't want to make their life sentimental. I didn't want to make their lives totally black. I wanted to find a way in. And poems are like, if you go to the circus, and the strong man, he has two rings that join together. There's one tiny little gap where the poem comes in, and you need to find the angle. The Greek poet Cavafy said that a poet must stand at a peculiar angle to the universe, and you need to find that strange angle. I write plays. Picasso was once asked, when was a painting finished? And he said, when the gentleman from the gallery comes to hang it. And a play is only finished when the gentlemen and ladies from the press come to hang the playwright. And I had a play open, and we had a dress rehearsal, and it was terrible. The play itself, the night was great, but this dress rehearsal was terrible. And I was sitting there with the director, Ray, and I said, Ray, we're screwed. I didn't say we're screwed, but I'm not sure everyone allowed to say in Italy what I really did say. But, and he said, don't worry, don't worry, we're good. He said, when I lived in New York, I used to go down to Mexico, and I used to go to the bullfights. And the old men in the building, they had no interest in the young matadors who were all flash and everything else. Their interest only broke when the old matadors who had been gored and beaten and sort of had ribs broken by bulls, when they came into the ring, because they knew the real courage it took. And I got a piece of paper and I started writing, and he said, Dermot, the play opens in 12 hours. We can't actually have rewrites. And I said, no, right, you look after the actual play. I just found my way into the poem about these women, because I realised these women were bullfighters, they were matadors. We just couldn't see the actual battles that they endured. And the place where they were from was called Neilstown. I wrote this poem called Neilstown Matadors, and then I gave it to them and I said, if you like this poem, it can be published, and if you don't, I'll put it in the bin. And they said, we like the poem, so I'm reading it here now. And it's called Neilstown Matadors. Supermodels would kill to be this thin. The diet is stress, cigarettes and coffee. My child raising days should be done, but somebody had to step into the breach. Somebody had to pick up the scarlet cloak and hold it in front of the rampaging bull. Old spectators in the bull rings of Mexico pay no heed to fearless young toreadors who imagine themselves to be invincible. Their interest only stirs after a fighter is good, because only when he re-enters the arena will they witness his true test of character. Some afternoons after school in this room, waiting to see the drugs task force worker, when my granddaughter suddenly smiles, when she looks up from her colouring book with eyes that match my daughter's eyes, with eyes knowing nothing yet of the danger of peddlers peddling needs that need to be fed, with quizzical eyes that I would kill to protect, she asks the question that she loves to ask. Gran, what did you do before you did this? What did I do before I took on her welfare? I fought to raise a daughter on these streets. I stood in queues and walked in checkouts. I searched my child on dangerous estates. I stood up to debt collectors calling to my door. When she shivered in detox, I tried to nurse her. I sold my possessions or saw them all robbed. I cried until one night there were no tears left. I prayed for what remained of my ebbing fate. In time, I wrapped my grandchild into my arms and took the place of the person I loved most. I made a nest amid the belongings I possess. I stood up in the bull ring every time I was gored. I watched the bulls run and I raised my cloak repeatedly to provide what shelter I could. I picked myself up and wiped off the blood. I waited at the school gate to take her hand so that walking home no evil could touch her. I don't say such things as I stroke her fingers. Instead, I say, as her eyes widen with wonder, every night during your 10 years in this world, as you sleep, I enter the bull ring with my sword to stand where your mother would have stood, a gladiator standing guard, a secret matador. And as a child, I had a terrible stammer, and stammer is like a prophecy in the verse, because it tells you what's going to happen 10 minutes after it has already happened. And I couldn't say 66 sneaky silvery snakes or any word that began with an S, and it meant I could never visit Sweden or Scandinavia. And my mother brought me to the speech therapy unit in Temple Street Children's Hospital in Dublin. And I was walking by it a few years ago, and I saw a son and mother come out, and it reminded me of my own mother bringing me there when she was when I was 10, and she had we didn't know, she only had a few months to live, and so this is sort of about just seeing, you know, somehow an image can bring a person back. Temple Street Children's Hospital. This is your territory. I brought you here. Shoddy tenement windows were washing flaps. Crumbling lanes where cars get broken for parts. There is an archway beneath which we passed, like the one above which you shared a flat, with your sisters up from Monaghan for work in a war-become Dublin. Surely you must once have gazed up, puzzled by how the years since had landed you here with a son, a stuttering misfit, unable to pronounce the most simple of words. A bright penny whose cloud you'd never see lift, as you fretted, unaware of how close death hovered. The speech therapist's office had fancy ties and books, and a special mirror which allowed me to be watched. The waiting room contained a white, merciless clock, which ticked off the final hours we spent alone, gazing down at the garden where I yearned to walk, trapped indoors by the shame of my garbled tongue. I stand outside a hospital in Nerney's Court, at Kelly's Road, where a blacksmith once walked, and no logic can explain why you feel this close, why I see us in the mother and child who pass, or how, as I age, I slowly become your son, gazing through your eyes with incomprehension. I was too young to have known you, so it makes no sense that every passing year only deepens your absence. I might take your time. Don't want to bore people. I'll just read two more poems because I once read James Heaney. I read James Southampton, and he said one time, remember to be kind to your audience. It's not really too many poems. This poem is a story that someone told me, and it is. I'll read this poem instead. My father died some years ago. He was 92 years of age. He was an old sailor, and in the last year, he was from Wexford Town, which is a small town in Ireland, and he went to sea. And he had various jobs. There were duties that every son has. My father's jobs as a son were quite strange. There was my grandfather was the only man in Wexford Town to read the Observer newspaper from England, and one copy was sent down on the train from Dublin every Sunday. My father had to walk to the station and get that. And on a Friday night, my grandfather, who I never knew, was a compositor, a printer, would tell my father to go and get a good book to read for the weekend. And my father would be sent off to walk around the streets and knock on doors and ask neighbours for a book, and to check it was a good book, and to bring it back to his father. His father would have 2 pints, and then would read the book over the weekend and would send the book back with his comments to on a Monday morning with my son. Quite a difficult task, actually, but I went to visit my father, and he said, I dreamt I was in Wexford Town last night, and I couldn't find a book from my grandfather, from my father. Soon as I went to visit him, he was more and more in Wexford Town, and he was slipping into that sense of dementia that we all see old people we love slip into, where we are desperately needed in their lives, and yet they don't really know we're in our lives. And I think they retreat back to the first memory, which is the first place they know. And my father, he was a sailor, and he'd say in a nursing home he thought he was on a ship, and the ship would never move, and he would say, I go out and ask the skipper what's happening. And I said, I'll go and check the skipper. And he called me and said, no, don't call him the skipper, call him the captain or sir, or we'll never get paid. So, even when in dementia, old sailors know their manners. This is called While We Sleep. While we sleep, they are slipping beyond our reach. Our elderly parents, frail aunts, grandfathers, they are dressing themselves, opening doors in the night, venturing out in search of the first home they possessed, padding across motorway intersections in slippers in the dark, shuffling past shopping centres, hulls of little office blocks. We may be scared, but they know where they are voyaging, amid their endless confusion as to whether it is night or day, amid the terror they feel as they sense their brains capsizing. They are walking back towards the reassurance of first memory, the bedrock which for decades got obscured by pressing concerns, preoccupied with the business of surviving, the business of life. But now the clutter of middle years has been hacked away, reunited with themselves, unhurriedly, with vision unimpaired. They are shuffling their way back to the streets of their birth, skirting cabbageways, concourses, each neon-lit underpass. They are any age, and yet they have grown beyond age. They have become absences in our lives, demanding our care, yet at the same time oblivious to us. We confuse them, disconnected from the landscape in which they are young. We see shrunken figures in dressing gowns and Zimmer frames, but they are children sent through a message, an errand of trust. How can my father be 92 as he walks through Wexford town, knocking on neighbours' doors, stopping cloth-capped strangers, sent out to seek the loan of a good book for my grandfather to read, a novel with sufficient heft and depth and intelligence to distract, a compositor sick of back-proofing racks of letterpress newsprint, who wants to lose himself on a journey to unfamiliar streets, a quiet man who will be led astray by old age into the county home, where he waited for the books he sent his young son to seek years before. Gentle grandfather, Republican typesetter, drinker on Ram Street. Your vigil is over at the barred window of that Enniscorthy asylum. Your son is coming with your treasured copy of The Observer that he dutifully collects in the Dublin train every Sunday morning, with a Cannon Sheen novel, with H.G. Wells and Chesterton, with Charles Dickens, Edgar Allan Poe and Patrick McGill. He got distracted from his errand during decades in ship's cabins, grieving his wife's death, becoming a connoisseur of loneliness. But now he emerges to the far side of such struggles. He has left his front door open, every light on deck aglow. He shuffles on a busted hip, clutching a vast armful of books, knowing only that somewhere between Finglas and Wexford, between the century of his birth and the one where he dies, he will encounter his own father, equally ancient, equally young. His father will be pleased with the books the errand fulfilled. So while we fret for him adrift in such dangerous depths, unable to stir between tides of remembrance and despair, one part of him siphons free from the confused husk who phones moments after we leave his house to ask why nobody ever comes. The path that walks beyond our remit towards his dead father. Even if we could follow them, they will be too engrossed to care, for the distraction of strangers like us who are not yet even born. We will be intruding on a father and a son strolling back from town to the Green Street terrace that is the first and the last home they share. I finished with one poem, and I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and I'm so looking forward to hearing Dave read. It was lovely to be here. At my age, it's actually lovely to be anywhere, but it's particularly lovely to be here. I definitely wrote this poem. Yes. I've studied a lot of memory. There's a thing called false memory syndrome, and I've read long books on this. And I suspect this is probably false memory syndrome. This is the longest poem I ever wrote, but it is my memory of being 20, and I'm sticking to it. The poem is called At 20. She said, "I'm suffering from the most terrible flu. If we sleep together, I'll pass it on to you." He lay in bed for 4 days after she left, shivering and waking up drenched in sweat, his throat raw, legs unable to take his weight. He paid this price happily, with no regret. Thank you.